Who is your king? Yep. Happy new moon in Aries. We have a solar eclipse, and this solar eclipse in Aries, it is very close to all of this yummy, juicy stuff that we've been talking about. The biggest theme of which is transformation and starting new and arising. So when I ask you, who is your king? My question really is, who do you follow? What do you follow? We can say, okay, the time of kings is done. But then we look out into the world and we have these kind of false kings propped up with power and money and, with their bravado and trying to like elbow their way into greatness. And we know that that isn't greatness. That's not the greatness we're destined for as human beings, of the 10th hierarchy, of the hierarchy that's destined to be about love and freedom. So as we see these incredibly hard and challenging struggles for power being played out on the world stage, we want to understand that this death of the king, there's something that has to do with each one of us, each individual, each human soul and spirit's development. So when I look inward and I notice, okay, what am I following? There are moments or days or years where I'm following just my impulses and my kind of carnal desires and my addiction to feeling good. And that brings me into like my small higher ego, and sorry, my small little ego. It's not my higher ego. And I pretend that little ego, what I want is the king. And so I follow. But that doesn't work. It doesn't sustain. It takes too much to ignore all the suffering and fallout that causes when I'm just trying to fulfill my own hedonistic desire. So I look inward and I say, okay, how can that part die away so I can be free to follow my higher sovereignty, my higher part of my being? And I can see that if I'm not selfish, or if I'm, trying to be of service to human beings and to the earth and to the celestial, divine, spiritual beings, then that is the death of that little king. Now, in the life of Jesus Christ, we actually have a wonderful picture of how this works in each one of us. That there is a part of us that we do have to work through our desires and our impulses and, trying to sort out what is my lust and what is my love? What is it that I'm just like, I want to feel good now, or what do I really want to do to feel good always and leave a trail of goodness behind me? And we see that in the life of Jesus, he was so good and was able to, and so master of being kind, very specific in specific situations, responding to the individuality of the situation. We see a biography that paints a picture of being generous, being powerful and gentle at the same time. And then we understand that through the baptism, there was this possibility where, as if the small ego and individuality of Jesus was able to die away so that there was place for this holy being to incarnate into this one human life. And that is this picture of, this higher nature being able to take up space and incarnate when this lower nature dies away. And there is something even bigger that happens. So Christ lived in the body of Jesus for 3 years, and then the body was killed and the Christ being resurrected. Now, what does that mean for us? Where is it that we not only need to let the lower part of us die, so we're not following just our small false king, but that we can enter into this like, oh, let the holy being in so I can follow that part of us. But what actually then has to be transformed one more time, that we actually reach this infinite, beautiful being of love and freedom. I mean, I don't, that's the big, huge picture that takes eons on eons. But even now, as I battle with my own, wanting to be comfortable and wanting to have, things like food or money or a roof over my head, then there's this work of like wanting to be comfortable in myself. Like, okay, even with, letting those desires be left behind and being of service, there's even yet a transformation ahead of us that's way beyond what we can understand kind of in our finite understanding of our brain now. So this death of the king is actually not just once, but it happens again and again and again. And it's through this death and rebirth and this death and resurrection that we always find ourselves becoming more and more ourselves as we let that transformative power have life in us and be the thing that we follow and we're, inspired by and guided by. So it becomes Christ in me that can recognize this divinity, this amazing unity between human beings, this incredible connection between myself and the earth and all of the planets and the celestial spheres. So on the little beginnings of big, big journeys, I wish you so much power and so much love and so much compassion and forgiveness and resilience. May you spring into an ever transformative new you. I love you. Happy new moon in Aries.